Indigenous Rights Radio, because knowledge is power.
The 2025 UN Climate Change Conference, known as COP30, is concluding in Belém, Brazil, a city often referred to as the gateway to the Amazon rainforests, from November 10 to 21, 2025. This major global meeting has brought together government representatives from the 198 signatory countries, along with delegates from UN bodies, civil society, academia, and the private sector. Significantly, COP30 features a record participation of indigenous peoples, with over 3,000 registered delegates, alongside strong representations from women and youth. Cultural survival has engaged with indigenous leaders and their representatives to capture their priorities and demands at this critical conference.
My name is Eileen Mairena Cunningham. I'm an indigenous Miskito from the Caribbean coast of Nicaragua, and I'm the indigenous people focal point to the UNFCCC. This COP30 has been an incredible change in terms of number of indigenous people that are participated in the meeting. And the other difference that I can see, there is a more organized group around specific issues as climate finance, just transition, mitigation, loss and damage. I think now the groups are more organized, and they bring a recommendation very clearly to the party state. I think one of the big challenges in comparison to other years is that even there is a big number of indigenous people, it's supposed to be more than 3,000 indigenous people in the COP. The effective participation has been weak. We have seen that even we have proposal and recommendation for the different thematic issues, in some group of discussion, informal meeting, contact group, we didn't have the possibility of raise our points. Most of the point has been sent in a bilateral way with some state parties. Another, we sent it through emails, but during the meetings, during the negotiation, has been very low the participation of indigenous people. In previous COP, there was there was this possibility of indigenous people to take the floor and bring our positions. That's one of the main issues. And I think it's very contradictory when you see that there was a lot of people and the government of Brazil, the COP presidency, saying that this is the indigenous people COP. So in reality, it's not the indigenous people COP. We have facing more challenges because even there is a lot of indigenous around, the number of indigenous inside the venue is small. The indigenous that have access to the documents, and then we have only documents in English. The indigenous people who can being here in Cus, the number is small in comparison of all those indigenous that are outside, that are in the green zone or in the COP village. And then what is the real agenda of these indigenous here? I'm really afraid, and I have to be very candid to you. Sometimes I feel that this was to folklorize the indigenous people around. But in reality, in the agenda, in the last outcome of this COP, we are being disappearing of all the discussion. For upcoming COP, we have been working in similar ways, and some COP presidency are being more open than others. We had high expectation about COP in Brazil because it's a friendly state of indigenous people so far, but in reality, didn't happen. So I think for other COP, we have to keep trying to engage with the COP presidency. We have to keep engaged with these friendly state parties of indigenous people. Today we're going to have a meeting with the European Union, no? That are open to indigenous people issues. I think the main challenge always, and then is about the recognition of human rights in the climate agenda. And that is one of the main issues that we think is important for the safeguard of indigenous people in our land territories related with this climate action. So I think we need to keep engaging in all this process, even if it's difficult, even if they don't let us stuck in the table of negotiation. But our strategy have to be maintained to going through this bilateral meeting, to participate actively in the informal, to follow up after COP also, because there is a lot of negotiation that happen between meetings. So I think that's some of the important issues about strategy. One of the biggest achievements so far has been visibility of indigenous people. Indigenous people in Brazil raised their voice, maybe not in the way that people were expecting, no? But we raise our voice. We people and state parties so that we are here, that we have rights, that we know how to fight for our rights, that we're not going to be cancelled or of this negotiation. We're going to keep engaged. That's one of the biggest. The other big achievement is that this was a space also of construction of a collective agenda of indigenous people at global level. And even with the difference of language, we achieved to have a common ground from all the indigenous people. And then when we see the negotiation, there is more discussion also in different side events about direct access to funds for indigenous people. You have seen more discussion in the Green Climate Fund. You have seen more discussion in the Adaptation Fund about the importance to include direct access to funds for indigenous people. So it's nothing that people are thinking that we are waiting. People are seeing that we have been active actor of all this process, because at the end, all this climate impact are being in our territories, and we want to be active in the decision making of the action in our territories. Well, my last message is that we are here. And I think it's a learning process that we are going to do together. So don't be afraid of coming to the caucus. Please come with all your ideas, with the reality that you're living in the territories, because we can transform that in a language that state parties can understand. And even if this is difficult and it can look difficult, engage. I think engagement is important in this process.
For more information on the rights of indigenous peoples, visit cs.org and follow Cultural Survival on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Threads, and Blue Sky.